And now, it's time for Healthy University, the program dedicated to the issues that affect the health of you and your family. Brought to you by Scotland County Hospital in Memphis, Missouri. Here's your host of the show, Dr. Randy Tobler.
And thank you, Dave. Welcome to the program. It's HealthyU. Tuesday morning, a cold one, but not quite as cold as yesterday, so we're thankful for that. A little snow moving in this evening.
Yeah.
So how's your core strength? That relates to your real age, I'll bet. We'll be finding out today later in the program from Dr. Michael Roizen, who will be our special guest.
Not just core strength. He does the whole gamut.
No, I know, but I'll bet that's one component of real age, right?
The gamut of wellness is what he does.
Yeah.
Really. And we have to give a shout out for the Harlem Wizards and the SCAP who put on, they put on an amazing, it's not strictly two things. It's an amazing, great thing for the after prom, when the kids need to be safe, and it's going to be enjoyable because they made a lot of money for it. That's one. But two, everyone from young to old really seemed to enjoy it, and that was just. And I'm going to dovetail into that's exercise, and that's something that we really need to work on here in the winter. And I saw young kids out there. I saw older people just really getting into it, clapping and
dancing could be one of those exercises.
That's
I was hoping we could get Dancing Queen on here as one of our bumper musics today. Maybe
we need ABBA for our
not a dancing queen. Sorry about that. No.
Is it Mamma Mia, the story of ABBA?
Yes.
Yeah. Chris Hyde was telling me she went and saw that recently down at the Fox. And
I saw it.
It's a great show.
Yeah, in New York on Broadway several years ago.
Fantastic
It's a great show. Yeah.
So you were the Dancing Queen last Wednesday? It was a lot of fun to see you getting out there and having fun.
The whole town was there.
That was. I love seeing those young kids. The Wizards got them out, and they were doing all kind of calisthenics, and ahead of time they were doing a little bit of autographing, and they got into it so much. And I've been talking to I've seen a couple kids since then, and they said, I'm into basketball now.
Oh, okay.
They weren't formally into basketball, and now they decided they're going to go into basketball because of that event.
Great.
So I just.
And talking to those fellows afterwards, I talked to a couple of the Wizards and got them to sign the poster. It was sort of fun. And I said, you brought a lot of joy to this community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Joy.
I mean, everybody was there. And, talking about basketball, I just got the dates from Barbie Courtright for our sports physicals.
Oh, good.
That is, we provide that service to Clark County students, Schuyler County students, and Scotland County students. And for a mom to know that the hospital is taking care of my child at school and I don't have to make an appointment, take some time off work, pick my child up at school, and get their sports physical for next year. I mean,
that's great.
That's huge.
Wow, that's absolutely huge.
Our dates for those parents out there who have students that are in extracurricular activities or you've not had the opportunity to have your child get a physical for whatever reason, or you don't have insurance, whatever the reason is, we take a team of doctors and nurse practitioners and nurses and non-clinical people like me to Clark County on Wednesday the 9th. We take them to Schuyler County Wednesday the March 16th. And I'm sorry, these are March dates, March 9th, March 16th, and we come to Scotland County on Wednesday, March 23rd. So I believe the parents have the paperwork in the mail the students come home with the paperwork. And so if you have a child that's a basketball player or a softball player or in the marching band or the cheerleader or in the FFA trap shoot or whatever the Missouri State High School Athletics Activities Association says needs a sports physical, we provide those free of charge with all these docs and nurses that come to your school.
And remember that if you get a little, approved with contingency or provisionally have to get a little checkup with the orthopedic doctor or with the family practice doctor for maybe a heart murmur or some kind of a creak in the knee or something, you want to make sure that you do follow up with that, because the sports physicals are not just a rubber stamp to your child's detriment. They're designed to be a little screening procedure. The physical therapist give them some exercises, give them a once over. Doctor or nurse practitioner will do the same kind of a thing with the heart and lungs and a general questionnaire. And those are important things to
That's
consider.
Truly a godsend. A lot of time they're totally unaware until they get to those, exams. So that's really important.
Yeah. So we'll be doing that again. Clark County, March 9th, Schuyler the next Wednesday, March 16th, and the following Wednesday, Scotland County, the 23rd. And you want to mark those down. Please, parents, fill out the forms that precede those visits
Yes.
for your sports physicals for your children, because indeed we do take family history into account, because, the genes are important.
Yeah.
But no matter what your genes, and no matter how you've either abused or massaged them, everyone takes this time of year to look inside, look in the mirror, and go, you got a little work to do, right?
yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah,
And I don't care who you are.
It's not.
And that's why when we come back, we'll be talking with our very special guest, Dr. Michael Roizen, who is the 4 times New York Times bestseller author, and author of the new book, This Is Your Do-Over. And you just won't believe the wealth of information and practical help
and
that you can use
pictures that are
as we
just
start
really
the new
informative.
year. So indeed, you'll want to stay tuned and call in. The numbers, in case you want to call in and have a question, 465-7225.
Or 1-800-748-7875.
We'll be right back with HealthyU and Dr. Michael Roizen. Welcome back. It's 18 after the hour on a cold and chilly day, the kind that makes you want to eat a lot of comfort food and sit down with your remote and cuddle up and
Right.
watch TV
And do nothing.
unplug the treadmill. But also, you look in the mirror and you go, I don't think that's the way to go. And joining us now, we're very privileged to have a world-famous guy who really has been the pioneer in the field of, what's your real age, realage.com, the website. And he and Dr. Oz are like BFFs, right? Michael Roizen, MD, author of the new book, This Is Your Do-Over. Thanks for joining us, Dr. R.
This is my privilege, thank you, and thank you for the introduction.
Hey, this is the time of year when everyone wants to fix everything, right? They want to look like a movie star. They want to be as strong as an Ironman triathlete. And, by the way, they want to, change the world. And by March, build a new deck and put a new roof on the house and remodel the basement. And usually they fail miserably. But yet you write a very practical book. And I have to tell you, it is not only, of course, backed with wonderful referencing and great, information as far as the background, but the actual how-to. And it's such a great read. I have to compliment you on that. What are the big mistakes people make this time of year in terms of the do-over?
Well, let me go first and say, although getting a deck on and doing the other things you mentioned may not be able to be accomplished by March, you can certainly be well on your way to the do-over and to your do-over from a health standpoint, because it just isn't that hard. And that's the key mistake people make. They say, I'm going to do these 8 things at once, when in fact, if all they do, I did it with a patient yesterday, if all they do is get a pedometer and start recording their steps every day and get a buddy. So in the do-over, we have a 7-day plan of what you're to do for 7 straight days so that you get on your do-over. And the key, there's something called intention to change. That is, where are you in the fade? Are you thinking about it? Are you doing? Well, it turns out when we did this with 180,000 people who were smokers, it didn't matter where they were. The ones who quit smoking were the ones who said, I'm going to make an appointment with my physician so I can get the medicine I need to stop smoking. And that one step was the key step. So the key step for most of us who care about our weight or care about high blood pressure or diabetes or high cholesterol or heart risk or cancer risk or even brain rot, the key step is to start walking 10,000 steps a day, and you don't build up to it instantly. All you do is say, I'm going to get a pedometer and record my steps, and I'll never take less steps today than I did yesterday. So you're building a few steps every day, and if you do that till you get to 10,000, once you get to 10,000, it doesn't matter whether you do 12,000 or 10,000, the health benefit is right around 10,000, the maximum, almost the maximum health benefit. So as long as you get to 10,000, then you can, in fact, vary it. But the key point is for you to actually get the pedometer, to figure out how to use it, that is to record the steps, to get a buddy that you can record the steps with so that you can congratulate each other and enjoy each other's success, and then start building steps. So it is really taking the action.
Well, Dr. Roizen, I love the way this book is laid out with your mini medical school initially with the Genetics 101. And you do, not only talking, you hit pictures so people get it. It's like visual pictures. The Genetics 101, Inflammation 101, Diabetes, Brain Function. Now, I have to ask, we always ask this, how did you get into this preventative medical model?
Well, this was actually interesting. In and I can tell you the exact date. In April, I was chair of anesthesia, critical care, and pain management at the University of Chicago, and in April of 1986, I was asked by a patient who said, "What's my risk of surgery, doc? My surgeon says I don't have much, because I'm only 49. And I said, Simon, if you were only 49, you wouldn't have much, but you're at least 8 years older because you smoke a pack a day. Okay. And he said, I can't be. And I said, why not? And he said, because that would make me 57, and no man in my family has lived to their 58th birthday. My dad died at 58. My uncle died at 58. My brother died at 58. I had another uncle who died at 54. He said, and I've got a birthday in 2 weeks. So that would mean I'll die shortly after the operation. So I just thought fast, and I said, if you quit smoking now, you get younger. You get 1 year younger in 2 months and 2 years younger in 5 months. The only data we had on that, this is way back in 1986, 30 years or so ago, was from Linus Pauling studying World War II veterans who had quit smoking. And so those who had quit got rid of the aging that smoking caused. And so, to my surprise, he quit smoking that day and still hasn't. He's now, you can think of it, he was 47 then, he's 78 now, and is still living and still gives me a week of buys me a week of vacation every year. So it's fun, but he is still living because he changed a number of things. Now so I started studying this as a way of how do we get people younger in the perioperative period, right around their operation, because your risk of an operation, so you're having a total hip, your risk of a hip operation increases logarithmically every 10 years. So if you're 10 years older, you have 3 times the greater risk than if you're 65. If you're 75, it's 3 times. If you're 85, it's 9 times greater. So I said our job is to figure out how to make people 10 years younger in the period surrounding their operation. And we learned how to do that we then got a research group learning how to do that, and we're able to motivate people. So another patient said to me, this is 1993, said, wasn't getting his blood pressure medicines, wasn't taking them. And I said, that makes you, and it turned out, 9 years older, Mr. R. And he said, what difference does it make? That's way off in the future when I'm going to die. I said, no, you function with the energy and the risk of someone who's 9 years older today. And so he said to me, how many other things in medicine can you do that for? And I said, why do you care? He said, because the energy I have today really matters to me. Whether I'm going to die at 85 or 95, I'm 48, doesn't matter to me at all. But, if you will, he said, but the energy I have today matters. Show me the data. And so we showed him the data, because by then we had the data for smoking and high blood pressure. And that led to a research program that came out with Real Age. And there are 155 things you can do that change your rate of aging. And the 7 secrets. What happened is we came out with the website. It was a snowy day like today in Northeast.
The best time to do it.
When the book came out, and and Oprah launched us on her show in 1999, and it was the most watched show she had up to that point. So we had 55 million people do the real age test on the website in the first 5 years, but of the first 18 million who did it, we followed 1 million of them, literally 1 million people who made themselves substantially younger. And the 7 secrets that are in this book are what those 1 million people did, the common 7 things that those 1 million people did to make themselves younger. So that's how it really started.
I notice you're arresting the ban, the imprisoning of the 5 food felons and the different types of foods. I love a couple of your ideas I've never heard before. It's a great way to be a CEO when you're in each restaurant you eat at. That's great.
Yeah, well, that comes because, remember, the restaurants want to please you. They want you to come back. And the way you come back is if they give you the food you want. So you can say, I want cut veggies.
Yeah.
I don't want bread as what I get at the beginning. And I want it with a hummus dip. I don't want it with butter. Or I want instead of chips with my guacamole, I want it with cut veggies.
Right.
Or I want whole wheat bread rather than white bread. And the restaurant, if you go there more than once a month, they will do that. There's only one restaurant I've ever been to that hasn't done that, and they went out of business, so I feel bad.
Another one you said is buy a good freaking knife and learn how to use it. I thought that was brilliant.
That sounds like advice for people living in the hood, but I don't know.
Well, it's advice for all of us because they stopped teaching home economics, how to cut food in high schools. You know, one of the first things that got cut in high schools when finances got tight in each of the cities is physical education and home economics. And, in fact, so if you almost no one under the age of 45 knows how to cut vegetables unless they had cooking training or chef training. And so one of the first things you should do, and we have videos of how to do that on the website at sharecare.com, but one of the first things you should do is to learn how to use a knife, which is basically if you can cut vegetables fast, you can eat great food that tastes great and that's easy to prepare. So the key is we as medical students who take our elective course here, as I'm at the Cleveland Clinic, and we have a course, and with both patients and medical students, the first thing we do in the cooking course is, in fact, spend an hour with them teaching them how to use a good freaking knife, if you will.
Let's talk a little bit about stress, if we can, and pivot a little bit to that, because I think that's one of these universal influencers on our health and our real age and, you know, all of these things that we don't realize it. It's sometimes, we may feel it, but we don't realize the insidious impact that it has on our health. And I mean, I love the part in the book where you go through the mini med school and you talk about a bunch of things that are really nice, compact, concise ways to understand complex problems. But I think increasingly stress, Dr. Roizen, is really recognized as having an impact on so many things, and yet it's so hard to get at. So as part of our do-over, what are some simple things that people can do to try to do over their stress and reduce it?
Well, let me first go and say stress is the greatest ager that we have in the United States now. If you look at major life events, and by the way, nagging unfinished tasks count as one major life event. The average American has 1.1 major life events. That is being forced to move, being threatened with losing a job, having to take a new job, being sued, having financial difficulty, etc. The average American, the typical American, has 1.1. When you get to 3, you're 32 years older if you don't manage it. Let me go and put it in another way. We've done this with our own program here at the Cleveland Clinic with 20,000 people, but in 1979 to 83, they developed a perceived stress scale. The average in America was 12.1 for men, 13.7 for women. With those people over the age who scored over 19 on this scale, developing chronic disease within 5 years, having a 90% chance of that. We now, and higher is more stress, we now in America, with our 20,000 people, we've tested roughly 20,000 in the last 3 years. In America, our level is about 19.7 on average. So we're living with levels of stress that caused people to develop chronic disease in 79 to 83. So you're right, we live at a much higher stress level than most of us ever, or that we have ever done in America before. The easy way, so once you recognize that, there are a whole bunch of relatively easy techniques that we can do to prevent or treat our reaction to the event. So the events aren't stressful. It's our reaction to the event that is stressful. If we had no stress, we'd be essentially dead. Most of us think, well, it'd be great to live on a Caribbean island with no stress, with just eating coconuts, etc., all day. And the problem is that you'd get bored pretty fast. So you want stress to be productive. You want some stress. So at the low levels, stress help you a great deal. So the point is that there are techniques that all of us can learn, and we go through 8 different techniques. Why do we do that? Because 100% of people won't meld or adopt any one technique. In fact, rarely do more than 30% adopt one technique. So we have guided imagery and we have deep breathing. My favorite is, in fact, one I can teach fast, but only about 25 to 30% will grab this and predictably do it. So for 5 minutes every morning, if you've got teenage kids, you do this in the throne room where they won't disturb you. But other than that, you can do this any place. You put your finger on your belly button, and as you take a breath in through your nose, your belly button should go away from your body. If it doesn't, and most of us have learned to breathe wrong over time, your chest will rise, but your belly button will suck in. So you've got to learn to do what we call diaphragmatic breathing with your belly going out as you take a breath in, and then breathe out slowly through your mouth. And you do that for about 3 minutes in the morning and 3 minutes in the evening, or maybe 5 minutes. We don't know the dose that's right for everybody. It takes me about 3 minutes now. And then anytime a stressful event, something comes up where I would normally be stressed, I practice that. I put my finger on the belly button. You can do it in a meeting. You can do it any time. Keep your eyes open if you want, so that people think you're thinking about them or whatever.
Yeah, that's smart.
Deep breathe at that same time, and that's one of the techniques. But anyway, we go through 8 different techniques. Some of the events you have to face head on. So I had a screen door that caused me a lot of stress. Why? It had torn. And every day I would go through it, and my wife would say to me, do you want me to get it fixed? And I'd say, no, being macho male, I can take this to a hardware store and get it fixed, right? Well, after 5 years, she finally got it fixed, and it took away a lot of my stress.
Yes, we resonate with that big time.
Our guest today is Dr. Michael Roizen, MD. He is a 4-time New York Times #1 best-selling author. Today, we are discussing his new book, This Is Your Do-Over. When we come back after the break, continue to talk about the 7 simple ways using diet, exercise, sleep, stress management, and sex to revitalize your life now and for the vital years in the horizon. After
Did you
the break.
say sex
I
to
did.
revitalize
Why did you make
your
me
life?
do the break? Why did you make me do
The
this
kids
break?
are in school. It's okay. We'll be right back.
And we're back with Dr. Michael Roizen, Chief Wellness Officer at the Cleveland Clinic and co-author of the New York Times best-selling book, many books, but this one is This Is Your Do-Over. Dr. Roizen, I have to ask you. You have a little. It's really tough. First of all, I'm going to have to ask you about the habit. How do you get in there and get people to you get that cue of you get home from work, you're tired, the cue of I'm tired, I just want to just give up on life. I don't want to buy a pedometer. I mean, how do you get people on that to make it a habit where they love doing wellness? Besides getting the major call that, you got heart disease and you're not doing well. How do you get them there?
Well, essentially what you're saying is you want another habit, but one that's enjoyable. So it's not the habit that's wrong. We want habits. Our brain loves habits. Our brain wants to do the same thing over and over and over again. That's how we build connections in our brain, and our brain functions. So the first time you played chopsticks, it was tough. But by the 20th time you played chopsticks, when your neighbor was so tired of it he didn't ever want to hear it again, it became very easy for you. And so our brain wants us to have habits, but what you want to do is find habits that are enjoyable for you and that you thrive on. So let me give the example. In other words, when I'm cooking, I love cooking salmon burgers and because of the taste of them. Now you can say, well, I gave up hamburgers for that or cheeseburgers for that, and the answer is yes, and they're much healthier, and they're just as easy to cook, and I've learned how to season them so that I love it. So that's a habit. When my wife's out of town and I have to cook something fast, a salmon burger is the first thing I reach for, and it's really easy, and it is really good. So it is taking one habit, morphing one habit with another. For smokers, for example, when we get them to quit 30 days before they actually quit, they plan on a quit day 30 days in advance, but they start with a walking habit, usually with a buddy, because that buddy will be enjoyable for them. And often it is two people who want to quit at the same time. So they both build up the walking as another habit and talking to each other, and then they can quit together. Or if they're one buddy and a significant other, or buddy can be your child who walks with you and encourages you to quit. So it is, you're breaking one habit by forming another habit first, because your brain seeks habits to be fulfilled.
Yeah, so it sounds like the challenge is, and it's usually everyone has their willpower moment, right? Where it's really, that's the moment of decision. And I guess what it is.
Well, let me just go and comment on that. Willpower doesn't work. Mm-hmm. That's the problem with it. We fail with willpower. So you said exactly it correctly. The willpower moment is the decision to say, I'm going to take action, and actually taking action. Mm-hmm. It isn't willpower to say, in other words, we can't beat, if your addiction is Chip Ahoy cookies, you can't beat Chip Ahoy cookies with just willpower. They're way too good. Your brain is too ingrained in that habit. You have to get another habit. So the decision is not that I'm going to quit Chip Ahoy's and I'm going to be tough enough. The decision is I'm going to get the walking habit, or I'm going to eat the salmon burger habit, or I'm going to eat the guacamole habit.
So switching one for another.
Another habit to replace that one is really the willpower moment.
Yeah, so that's essentially turning a negative to a positive. Yeah,
right.
Instead of just saying no, it's just say yes, just to the right thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Got it.
You want to substitute a healthy habit for a current habit that you don't want.
I have to ask you about a healthy life also includes a very healthy sex life. And I'd like you to just go into a little bit of the physiological reasons for that.
Yeah, so there are a number of physiologic reasons, and we don't understand them all. So let me give you the data from the studies and then come back to what we do know. What we know is that for a man, the average 55-year-old man has mutually monogamous sex or orgasms roughly once a week or 58 times a year. If he increases that to 3 times a week, or if a woman has what she calls satisfying sex frequently, then she and he live as though they're 8 years younger. If you increase that to twice that amount, 300 times a year, it's about 16 years younger. So that's a really, those are really, in fact, strong points, and that's been shown in more than 2 studies. It's been shown in 3 studies, maybe in a 4th. The 4th isn't well done, so it's at least 3 studies. And in fact, we know that one of the things it decreases is inflammation in your body. Now, we don't know why it does that, whether it's the release of oxytocin. So that feeling good feeling when you have a partner or are having sex is, in fact, releases a hormone in your brain that is the bonding hormone that makes you feel good towards another person. And that bonding hormone seems to decrease inflammation. We don't know that's the reason, but we do know that the total effect is a decrease in inflammation in your body, and inflammation is what we now know is probably the largest cause of arterial aging. That's heart disease, stroke, memory loss, even impotence and wrinkling of the skin. It's the largest cause of cancer because it impedes your immune function from fighting, and it's the largest cause of brain dysfunction because inflammation gets into your brain and causes you to lose brain cells. So we now know that so sex is one of those things that decreases inflammation.
Well, there you go. That is just one of the many, many fun and really informative, and as you just heard, well backed up scientifically pieces of advice in the new book, This Is Your Do-Over by Dr. Michael Roizen, our very special guest this morning. And the website is sharecare.com. If you folks want to go on and you can take a little real age test there and learn a little about yourself, maybe use that as a motivator to start making the willpower to do the right thing and not worry so much about saying no to the bad thing because you won't care. You'll have a new habit. Dr. Roizen, thanks so much for being with us, and we really do appreciate you being with us.
Thank you for making it so much fun.
Take care and have a great day. Dr. Michael Roizen, and fascinating guy. We're going to take a break here, step aside, and then we're going to talk with a good friend of ours and a good friend of everyone who loves great eating and great cooking, and it's none other than our good friend,
Chef Gordon Rader.
Yeah, we'll be right back with Chef Gordon Rader, the director of the Indian Hills Culinary Program, in just a couple minutes. Stay there.
And we're back with Chef Gordon Rader, director of Culinary Arts at Indian Hills Community College. And he's got a big event coming on January 29th on a Friday. The social starts at 5:30, and it is the culmination of it's the capstone for the oldest kids to basically put on a great meal for whoever would like to come, but I really encourage everybody to come. Hello, Chef Gordon.
Hey, kids, how you doing?
Doing great. So what are you cooking up today up in the kitchen?
Well, I tell you, today we're working on pulled pork sandwiches with South Carolina barbecue sauce and some slaw. They're doing that out in the pit today.
Oh, my mouth
That
is watering.
That is one of my faves.
Yeah. Well, they decided they want to do something a little bit different. We've been working on prep for next week, basically getting all the plates and silverware put together. So they wanted to cook a little bit, so that's what we're doing today while I do this. So.
And I think
everybody happy?
we need to let the audience know, because you won't ever brag on yourself, that you have a storied career, having cooked and worked internationally and taught and learned internationally and been mentored in your early career. And, of course, all kinds of service in the food industry. And now as an educator, I mean, we've seen your passion. We've traveled with you and experienced the passion that the kids have. And it's always fun to watch you in action because as a mentor, you are making sure that these students are ready to go out in the workforce. None of this, I mean, while everyone, I guess, maybe gets inspired with the Food Network, people, you teach them to be working chefs. And that means job security. It means job satisfaction. You also teach them some life skills. And that's part of the learning process with your program.
Yeah, well, a good dose of reality, no? I mean, that's something that we don't see a lot, and I think it's important to know that it's a tough job, and a lot of kids come in and they say, well, it seems like an easy thing to do, and I'm like, well, no, it's not. There's a lot involved, and it's not just cooking. So I think we've done a good job. We've got almost 9 years here now. We've got number 17 on the top 20 list of some of the best culinary programs in the country.
Wonderful. Wow.
Our magazine, so that's a good thing.
Hey, tell us about you've got some kids going to Hawaii with ACF, the American Culinary Federation trip this year.
This is great. Normally we keep it in the central region of the country, but they decided to take it to the big island. And so Mark was excited about trying to make this happen, but we looked at cost too. Fortunately, because of some fundraising, and that's one of the things that this dinner helps to do, we've got 8 students and 2 instructors that'll be in Honolulu in April. To attend this conference. And again, the American Culinary Federation, they accredit the program here. It's networking opportunities for the kids. So basically what they
That's
do is they'll be
great.
together with a lot of chefs and students from other countries and other states to work in Honolulu.
So how did those kids get selected, first of all?
Well, grades, that's the
Oh,
first
okay.
and then their connection, their passion, their excitement, the ones that show up before classes, the ones that stay late after classes, the ones that have conversation. We always call it the inner circle.
So you say
So
it's a good work ethic there.
Well, absolutely, because some of them come and they do what they have to do and they go home, and that's not enough, no?
Yeah.
We've read recently, I mean, New York Times articles, it's become really mainstream media fodder about some of the conflict and tension in the food service industry between the front of the house and the back of the house. And, and it seems like culinary programs are struggling. And yet there's this just onslaught and this popularity of cooking and foodiness, if I will invent a new word there. How are you dealing with that at your program?
Well, it's kind of a strange phenomenon. I keep waiting for it to go away, but it continues consistently year after year. Food Network, Bravo, the movies. There's another movie out, I think it's called Burnt. That's going to be, it looks like a good one, about a chef and his struggles. But, there's always been problems between the front of the house. That's just the way it's always been.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you get to a nice restaurant, and they're going to take care of business. It's about the customer.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think that, community colleges are the places where people go to get a serious education. We have 5 programs in the state of Iowa alone. Community colleges where they get great education. So we have a lot of, our biggest struggle, to be honest with you, is aside from, our area in southeast Iowa, which is difficult, is the competition.
Yeah. And yet people don't, that's why we are so proud to endorse and sponsor and get the word out for you because, like you said, I mean, in a trade magazine, top 20 programs in the whole country. And that's why I want to get the word out about the upcoming dinner. It's and folks can learn about it at www.indianhills.edu. And then I guess head on to various events, right? Courses, programs.
It's www.indianhills.edu/news/event/culinary-dinner.html. But you can just go to Indian Hills Community College and hit the search bar and do culinary dinner. You can get to the culinary dinner.
Absolutely, and more importantly, if you just want to buy your tickets, you do a slash in front of that and do the scholarship dinner as one word, and then take you right to where you can buy your tickets online.
Okay, that's great. And again, it is next Friday evening, right? And the social starts when?
It starts.
Social at 5:30, then dinner at 6. And I bought extra wine this year.
And grilled filet mignon with wrapped bacon and a red wine demi-glace. I can't wait.
Yeah,
And I have to
ragu with polenta. It's going to be a nice menu.
And
also, I just wanted to mention real quick too that we've got Chef Eric Mejia. He's coming in from El Salvador, from San Salvador, to be with us that night.
You spent Thanksgiving in Central America. Tell us a little bit about that in the next minute we have.
Yep, it was a great event for us. We got to go down and work with the United States Embassy, do a dinner for U.S. Education USA. I met a wonderful chef who had a wonderful program at a public institution there. He was very generous, so we're going to, in return, bring him over and show him some Iowa hospitality.
Well, folks, if you enjoy eating, if you're just curious, we just talked with Dr. Michael Roizen about medical health and doing your do-over, and he talks about tasting parties. If you're interested in learning what good food, freshly prepared food, that, by the way, even if it has a little butter and a little fat, it's healthy butter, healthy fat, and the social aspects of eating good for you, you may want to attend this dinner, learn about it, get inspired, maybe enroll, and you guys do some adult education as well, and then start your own movement here in this very area.
And if you have any kids that are interested in culinary, I'd also encourage you to also go to this dinner. This is the dinner that'll show you how the kids work, not only waiting the tables, what they do in the back.
Well, hey, we have a local graduate here. I mean, James McKee.
Yes.
Yeah, who graduated a couple of years ago, and he's working here locally now. So there's proof in the pudding for you, Chef.
And we really appreciate your support, guys. I mean, seriously, we've done a lot of work with a lot of kids that really needed the handout, the help, the mentoring processes, because it's a challenging time we live in these days.
And I think I must say that Chef Gordon takes a personal interest in these students, not only as culinary students, but also as individuals growing in a very difficult world. Hey, thanks so much for all you do. We look forward to seeing you next
Chef.
Friday, Chef Gordon.
We'll see you next week. Thanks so much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Chef Gordon Rader, director of the Indian Hills Culinary Arts Program. It's a fun dinner. Get online again. The website is Indian Hills.
www.indianhills.edu/news/events and then /culinary dinner, one word, .html.
Well, that'll wrap it up for this edition of HealthyU. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, the book that we featured, Dr. Michael Roizen, Roizen, This Is Your Do-Over. And, of course, Chef Gordon Rader. The website, by the way, for Michael Roizen was sharecare.com. You can learn more about that and test your real age. For Dr. Helene, for our producer Elisa, I'm Dr. Randy Tober. Thanks for being with us. This week, be well, share it with someone you love, give them a big hug to release that hormone and stay warm. See you next time.